Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be going over some key changes to the height safety industry, and that is that two new standards have been introduced, and the first one being the AS8091.4, which is the selection, use and maintenance for personal equipment for working at height. The main changes here, so 8091.4 is a standard which is very well used in the height safety industry. So the key changes on this is that working on inclined surfaces. The biggest change here is if you're working on a surface that is an inclined or steeply pitched roof, where the worker needs to rely on their system to maintain a secure footing, the system must be set up to allow the worker to be able to set up a secondary connection, basically using it as a rope access system. So as soon as you get to a point where the rope is supporting the user, you need to set up a backup system. So it basically means a rope access system or a rail system. So that is quite a major change. Or of course a passive system, which is a guardrail system. The other major change is going to be single fastener and multiple fastener components. So as we all know, anything friction fitted, be it a chemical type anchor or a wedge type anchor, has always got to be pull tested every 12 months. The new standard now allows for anything with multiple fastener components that it still needs to be proof load tested at the time of installation, but ongoing pull testing is not required if there's a series of criteria met, and that's mainly engineering documentation, whether it be the fastener manufacturer's information and their calculations, and it's got to comply with the concrete specs, the edge distance and so on. So if you've met all that criteria of the fastener manufacturer or the chemical manufacturer and you've pull tested at the time of installation, ongoing pull testing is not required. That is for multiple fastener connections only. So if you've got a single point, that'll always need pull testing every 12 months, but multiple, be it two or more, or even static lines or rail systems, that's a multiple fastener system, will not need annual ongoing pull testing. But the key criteria there is that documentation has to be provided and must be available with the system. The other key change is that the pull test is only required to be done for 30 seconds, not 3 minutes, and the minimum is 7.5 kilonewtons for any pull test, so not 6 kilonewtons. For rope access, it'll have to be 7.5. And depending on the load rating, it's still 50% of the design load. Then, so that's the key changes. There's a lot of other facts and figures there for harnesses, anchorages and all that type of thing. But that's the main criteria for that relates to anchors itself. But that standard is fairly involved, and there's quite a few other subjects there too to do with harnesses and connections, etc. The next change is the AS5532. This is to do with the anchor manufacturing. So this is mainly for people like ourselves that manufacture anchors, and the testing criteria here has changed in that it allows for rigid anchors and energy absorbing anchors, so that you can do a test specifically for energy absorbing anchors for lighter gauge structured roof profiles, and basically being the resultant energy into the structure rather than the full static test requirement. So there's a bit of changing on that. The other change there is a two-person anchor will now be subjected to 2 drop tests on the same anchor. Let's hope that fills you in. We'll definitely keep you updated with products and what that means with the whole anchor range. Hopefully that just gives you a quick overview of the standard changes. Thank you.